For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Happy end of summer, almost-ish. Thanks for tuning in today. Well, it doesn't feel like summer where you are, especially if you're in North America, because what the hell is going on with the weather and the fires everywhere? I'm going to talk about that coming up in just a little bit. And when it comes to gift giving, is it the thought that counts or is it the price that counts? And if it's the price that counts, do you check it out to see how much somebody spent on you? That's what we're talking about. It's 30 minutes of time-wasting fun on The Scribble, starting right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. You know, I'm looking at the calendar, right? We're at the end of August now. I'm coming up on 20 years being a newspaper columnist in the Southeast Journal in Manitoba, my home province. And I write the column every Monday. It's published in the newspaper every Thursday. It's a weekly community newspaper. And I started to look back. I've written over like 800 and some columns over 20 years. And it's fascinating to look back at what's happened in the world over 20 years, right? I mean, when you have a milestone birthday, sometimes, like I was born in 1982, I graduated the year 2000. We're looking at, it's 23 years later now since I graduated. But it's only when you have those kind of milestones, right? I was having a conversation with my cousin the other day, and one of our other cousins has a kid, and like her kid is turning 30. And so it's when you sit back and go, wow, time is really flying. But something has to happen, right, to kind of make you think that. So for me, like I said, I'm hitting 20 years of being in the newspaper. And so that makes me kind of think, like, what were the world events that were happening in my first couple of columns? Because sometimes I was just giving opinion stuff, things that happened to be on my mind. And then other times when there was a major story in the world, it was in response to that, right? Politics could be, a world, like a tragedy somewhere in the world or in our home province. And when I look at it now, like I said, we're August 2023. Just right now in the world, like the wildfires and the weather crap that's going on, right? Like the Hawaii thing, obviously, we know that's it's a terrible story. And then I didn't even know that just like a few days later in Yellowknife, like Northwest Territories in Canada, my home country, I didn't know that the entire city was being evacuated until I saw it on the news. Like, I mean, I'm one of those people who I tend to take a step back. Even though I'm in the news business, I'm in the media world, I kind of do zone out, a few days here and there, just because I prefer to not focus on all that kind of stuff. I didn't know that. It was, I think, on CNN that I ended up seeing it when it was Anderson Cooper, I believe, Anderson Cooper had said like an entire Canadian city is being evacuated because of a wildfire. And I was like, what? How did I not? Well, because I chose to tune out, for those few days. And then Kelowna, somewhere in BC, I think, was also at the same time that Yellowknife was being evacuated, somewhere in British Columbia as well. And then, even just from earlier in the summer, it was New York, I think, right, that was having like the clouds of smoke from the fires in Ontario. And so it's crazy to think. And I realize that it's happening in many other places, not just these ones, but these seem to be the biggest ones that are making the news headlines. And it's weird because where I'm from in Winnipeg, Manitoba, one of my colleagues and her husband recently moved to another province in Canada, and they come back to Manitoba for the summer. And I've spent a lot of my summer in California, in West Hollywood with my husband, and so we haven't crossed paths. She's like, oh, let's get together. And I'm like, oh shit, we're not in Canada right now. And she had some company, like, people she hadn't seen in a while, and she texted me. She's like, when is the summer weather going to hit? And I'm sitting there going, okay, wait a second. I'm sorry. Winnipeg is usually like the most humid, dry, arid places in Canada in the summer. And so I said to her, I'm like, what do you mean it's not? She's like, it's getting down to like, whatever single degree temperatures, like single degree Celsius at night. And I was like, are you kidding? In August? That can't be. She's like, yeah, they've got a cottage out sort of by my parents on Lake Winnipeg, north of Winnipeg. And she's like, we're freezing at night, and it's August. You'd think that it was, October, November, somewhere in the fall already. And she's like, this is midsummer. Like, August is supposed to be the hottest time in Manitoba, or it usually is. And I said, it's so weird because, like, the Canadian prairies are having a mild, be it chilly summer. And then everywhere around, literally, right? So Winnipeg, if you're not familiar with the geography of Canada, Winnipeg is in the very center of Canada. And fun fact, it's almost the exact geographical center of North America. Did you know that? Yes, there's actually a sign east of Winnipeg. I can't think of the town. It's not too far east outside of the city, that it is the geographical center of North America. So anyhow, literally, in all directions, places are burning, right? So you've got that fire in Yellowknife, so that's northern Canada. To the east, where you've got the Ontario fire that's blowing smoke into New York and into, I think it was several other states. I don't think it was just New York, if I'm not correct. It was a few weeks ago now, but and then of course you've got Kelowna, BC, which is on the west coast. Was it Kelowna? Can somebody fact check that? It was BC. I know that. And then obviously Hawaii is a completely different area altogether. But what I'm saying is, like, you've got just things are burning, and I thought, so is this now? It could be for any number of reasons, right? It could be just drought, and I know from, again, being in Manitoba, that you can have very dry conditions, and then when there's trains going by, the wheels, there could be sparks that can cause, a wildfire, forest fire, whatever it might be. So I know that happens. It could be lightning strikes. It could be anything. And I was in Los Angeles. I think it was, when was it? It was 2019 when there was like a wildfire in the area, not that Los Angeles was burning, but in LA County. And I remember people like freaking out because they knew that I was there. And I said, no, it's not near me. I'm in West Hollywood. I'm not near it. And at the same time, this is what was really funny, because I was on the radio. People know that I'm from Winnipeg, and I guess it made international headlines that it was Thanksgiving weekend in Canada, that Winnipeg just had this blizzard that shut down the city like never before. Like trees were snapped, and there was a tree that actually came down on my property. It didn't hit my house, thankfully, but I did have a big tree branch come down. And so people were messaging me, one, thinking that I was in Winnipeg, and then other people thinking that I'm in LA. Oh my God, you're part of the wildfire. I said, I'm not near either of those. Thankfully, I appreciate your concern. I am fine. I'm not near the fire, and I'm not near the snow. I'm good. I'm in West Hollywood. So I even took a video, because I think that people just thought that my mom is a bit of a worrier. And I was like, yeah, no, here's a video. It's like, hi, it's whatever date. I'm walking through West Hollywood. Things are fine. It's not, it's not burning down. That's not what it is. So it's just crazy. Now, I'm not going to go on a big global warming or whatever, what do they call it? Climate change. That I'm not, that's not my thing. But clearly we can see that something is happening, right? I mean, it's obvious. And so, I think back to when I was a kid, and the big thing about the oceans, and the big thing about, nature, and And I'm not making a joke. The biggest thing was cutting up the plastic from, when you had the 6-pack of like Coke or Pep, like the canned drinks, when you had the 6-pack and you had the plastic, because remember, it would get stuck on the ducks' necks, right? That was your big thing. I'm like Biden here. I'm being serious. But that was our biggest concern. That was truly, I remember that being one of the first memories that I had as a kid of like, this is how you take care of the environment, is you don't litter, and you have these plastic ring things and you cut them up so that the animals don't get stuck in it. That was my big concern when I was, I'm 41 now, but when you're 4, 5, 6 years old, that was the big thing. And now we see how much when those whales or marine life in the oceans are dying, and then the scientists or whoever are looking and going, wow, this whale had 600 pounds of plastic in it. I'm just making up the number. There's been stories about that. So it's kind of like, wow, what the hell is going on? And it's kind of weird. And, we used to, in certain areas, you'd have that opinion of, well, it's not happening to me. Like when you see these stories about, major flood happening in a city and wiping it all out. And now being in Winnipeg, we would always go and say, well, the tornadoes don't hit the city. Well, apparently there was a tornado warning once or twice in Winnipeg this summer. Now it didn't hit, but you would have never had those before. And so it's crazy because you used to have that attitude of, oh, it's not going to happen here. Oh, it's not happening here. Oh, Winnipeg. Well, Winnipeg has flooded, not to the extent that, houses are washing away because just of the terrain and, the way the water drains or, but certainly people have had flooded houses on the, the rivers, on the riverbanks coming up. And it's not that, you don't see the cars floating away in Winnipeg, but who's to say that it can't happen here? When we did our, I've got to wrap it up. When we did our travel programming in we got to go. All right. Say that again. I didn't. You see, you guys are saying it to me as I'm talking. Who was that? Was that Tim? Say that again. Look at this. I'm just going to have a conversation with my staff while they're telling me to wrap up. We have to go, but we're going to drag this out because I can't hear what they're saying. Tim, say that again. 2 minutes? I've got 2 minutes. All right. So when we were in Panama, we had some great weather, and then all of a sudden there was just this torrential downpour. And and we had gone to this pub where we were doing a photo thing, and we did a segment, and it was on a slope, and just the water that was coming down from the rain. And I just said, should we be concerned? Because like this rain is scary. And then when we were going to the Panama Canal, I remember taking a video kind of in the back seat of the vehicle where we were going. And I just said, like, he can barely see out the front window. Are we going to get into a crash here? Like, what's happening? And that's where they were like, no, this is Panama. And so we weren't there during hurricane season. I don't remember exactly. We were there in October. Maybe it was coming to hurricane season. I don't know. But I've never really, my point, just so you wonder where I'm going with this, I've never really been scared of weather. I mean, I grew up out at the lake in the cottage where you used to love a storm. It was fun. You loved you could watch the lightning over the lake and all. Like you enjoyed it. Maybe it's an age thing now. Maybe it's just because weather is getting so dangerous. I don't know. But I'm sort of. I mean, we did Panama. I guess that was maybe 5 years ago now. Even in my mid-30s, I was like, something doesn't feel right about this. But the locals were just kind of like, eh. So there you go. Tell me your thoughts, not necessarily about climate change, but have you had any kind of crazy weather where you are? Like, are you having a normal summer? What's it been like where you are? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. They've given me, I have a minute left, but we're going to wrap this up so I can ramble on in another segment. So we're going to take a break, more on the Scribble right after this.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore, am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase, no prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-319-0582. That's 800-319-0582. 800-319-0582. Call today, 800-319-0582.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
JB here, back on the Scribble. You might recall a few weeks ago, I celebrated my birthday actually for 2 weeks on this show. I'm not one of those people who is like, it's my birthday month and I'm celebrating all month. No, I just don't. My birthday falls generally on a holiday weekend in Canada. So I grew up, either we were out at the lake and it was always, you had your lake friends. So I never had a birthday when I was in school. So it's not like I got together with my school friends because we were out of the city. And so I never really had birthdays just because everybody would always go and do their own thing, right? Especially in Canada, you've got people camping or whatever. So I never got trained to be one of those kids who's having these big lavish birthdays. No, it was kind of like we had our neighbors at the lake. They might come by for a cake and that's that. So one of the things that we were talking about, because, and again, so as you age, people aren't necessarily giving you gifts. Like my parents have just given me cash for my birthday for I don't know how many years. And, your I'm the boss too. So, your staff will give you gifts or gift cards or something, or generally they'll get something like for my dogs, just because I'm like, and this is where, how do I say this without it sounding so fucking cocky? But like, it's going to sound cocky no matter how I say it. So I'll just be blunt and direct. I have a lot more money than most people in my orbit. So I feel weird people giving me things, right? It's something like Oprah. You give Oprah a gift. What can you give Oprah that she can't just go and get herself if she wants? So that's what I mean. I'm not saying that I'm a millionaire, but for me, it's not like I don't need anything. I don't, so I've always been fine with, get my dogs, some toys or something, and that's fine. I don't need, people will do like gift cards for my husband and me or whatever it is. It's like, it's a nice gesture, but really, and I'm certainly not one of those people who's like, oh, just make a donation to a charity. No, people will do whatever they want. So, I mean, as much as you can go and say, you know what, don't get me anything, people still will just because they're nice like that. So, are you one of those people who, when you get a gift, do you ever just look it up online and see how much it costs the people? Did you, do you want to just go? Tell me, because that's a very interesting conversation that we had the other day where, somebody had got flowers from their partner. I'm not going to mention who it was, but she knows who she's looking away now, but she got flowers from her new partner, I should say, and she went online because she knew the company that had delivered it. She went online to basically kind of match up what it was that she got to how much the guy paid. Is that something that you would do? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, Live, live@jbonair.com. Do you look up the cost of a gift that you received? Is that something you do? I don't know. I've never really. I'm trying to. I would have a general idea about stuff like that anyway. I mean, I guess I don't really know the price of flowers. My husband gets me flowers, so I don't really look at those, the prices. But I don't know. Does that sort of cheapen the whole sentiment of it, though? Does it kind of make you? I don't know, like, what are you going to do? Confront the person and be like, you cheapskate, you only bought me $15 flowers instead of 40 or 50 or 100? I don't know. Like, what's the purpose of doing that? To see how much he cares about you? Well, maybe he cares about you but doesn't have money to spend. I'm looking at her, by the way. Just, I know you can't see me, but I'm looking at her. I don't know. Is it a sign that the person cares because, that they spent this much or that much? I mean, I would, personally, I am a cheapskate. So I would actually be mad at my husband. If he went and spent $100 on flowers, I'd be like, you know what, you could have bought us 4 meals, or, we could have done other stuff with that. I don't know. Just when it comes to like gambling, slot machine, sliding a $20 bill, I'm just like, yes, you can win. But like, if you think about how much people make at a job, that was something that I always did when I worked in an office. Was if I was making, let's say, $15 an hour or whatever I was as a writer or as something, I would always look at that and go, okay, wait a second. If my lunch is going to be costing me more than the 1 hour that I get for lunch, right? Because, you're paid, if I was on a salary or whatever, I make this much per hour. My lunch hour, if I'm going to be paying $17, that means that I've just spent more than I would have made for that 1 hour, right? I mean, your lunch hour is often paid or whatever. But you get what I'm saying, though, is mathematically. If I'm having a $20 lunch, I'm sitting there going, well, now that's, an hour and whatever, 15 minutes or however much I make, whatever I'm, that was how I always gauged it, was my lunch is going to be less than what I'm making per hour. Just, that was my thing. So anyway, yeah, if your spouse is spending, I know how much my husband makes as well. So it's not, I manage his career. So he's a fitness model and I know how much he's paid for things, but it's not about that. It just almost kind of seems like you're materialistic in that sense, that, like, the fact is he bought you something. Just deal with that. Like, why does it have to be, I don't know. That just seems icky to me. Is it icky to you, listeners? Send me an email. Is it icky? Do you feel icky if you do that? I don't know. I don't want to get into the whole regifting thing. I know we've talked about that a while ago. Bonnie Winters, our producer who's not here today, but she is here. There you are. I see you. Okay. She just said, you just talked to me before the show. That's right, I did. We were talking about her grandson. Oh, is it? Are we done yet? Speaking of aging and speaking of... Bonnie is certainly one of those people who... we don't have... Yeah. That's another... when she can join me on the air, when we can patch her in on a microphone or on a phone call, I want Bonnie to share her story. Bonnie's the type of person who... How do I explain it? And if we could... Somebody find me the clip. I know it was a long time ago on the radio, but Bonnie's one of these people who she will bitch about, her husband Mike or, whatever that he didn't buy her or he did buy her. But then when we have her on the radio, because I know she talked about her birthday, was it last year or something? And she plays innocent, like, oh, I don't know, I always love what I get. Oh, that's bullshit, Bon. Bullshit. Because I remember, now the backstory with Bonnie Winters is I worked with her. She was an editor at a publishing company. I was the managing editor. That's how we met. And we would go for lunch almost literally every day. We truly did. We were such a close group, and I ended up basically stealing most of the staff to come and work for me when I started a media company, but we got very, very close with each other. I knew a lot about her marriage and her kids' relationships, and then she had a grandson when we worked, or no, we were already doing this because Dylan's 15, right? Or he's 16. So we were already working here when she had the grandson. And it's very funny when you get her, one-on-one or at a meeting or at lunch or having some wine, she will go off on what the gift was or whatever. And then when we have her on the radio, she's like, oh, I don't even know. I don't know. And I don't want to like totally throw her under the bus by saying, oh, remember that conversation? So she'll just kind of giggle it off. And I'm looking at her. If she's in the same building as me, I'll be looking going, you're a fucking liar. Like, why do you even try to be innocent? Like, I know that you've looked up the price of something because you told me that you did. But I don't want to do that because I would know sometimes that her husband would be listening at work, streaming on the internet, listening to the show because she's a producer of the show, and so he would know that sometimes she would pop on and he would turn it on, and the guys at the office would listen to his wife on the radio. It was kind of a fun thing. And then, yeah, Miss Innocent. Oh, I don't know. I always love what I get. Oh, Bonnie, what was the worst gift you ever got? Oh, everything's always wonderful. Everybody always gets me the best things. Oh, fuck off with that, Bonnie. That's not even, we know. And I don't even know. It's not even necessarily that she just happens to have good people in her life. Everybody has got a shitty gift from some, whether it's the what do you call it when you do the gift exchange? When you, oh crap, what is it called? Secret Santa. Thank you. I remember getting, it was Monopoly, but it was like bacon themed. And I just remember going, okay, like I don't get this, but whatever. That was the Secret Santa gift that I got. And I realized that maybe it was meant to be a gag or that was sort of the point or whatever, but I thought, oh, okay. And then there was another one where when I was, should I throw my mom under the bus now? I mean, there's just stuff where you kind of, I mean, this is where you do feel guilty just because, you're a human being or whatever, but like the person sometimes would mean well. And so I think that my mom would just miss the mark on things. When I was a teenager, and I guess into my early 20s, I moved out of the house when I was 25. So from, 15 or whatever. So I was really into candles. I was really into lava lamps. For some reason, I really liked lava lamps. And I had a whole bunch of them in my bedroom. I had a fairly large room once my brothers moved out of the house. And my mom, I guess she just kind of took that as Jeremy likes lights. Which I kind of did. I mean, I enjoyed like the Christmas lights, putting them up around the front windows and stuff at Christmas. But she would just kind of get me random lights. And there was one that you plugged it in, and it was, I don't know exactly what, it wasn't lava, but it was like a dolphin sort of a scene, kind of spun, and then it kind of projected also onto the walls. And I remember, like, I'm sure it was expensive. I'm sure, it was probably like $40, $50. And I remember just kind of being like a dolphin kind of a thing. Like, yeah. And that's where you always kind of feel guilty, right? Because if there's anybody who can read you, it's going to be a parent. If you're lying to them, if you're faking your excitement for something, And so that's where she would always do the, well, you can take it back. You can, I have the receipt. You can take, and then you just feel like an asshole, right? Because you really don't like it, you don't want it, but that's also not really the point, right? Is it's still the sentiment of, it's the thought that counts, as they say. And so, yeah, my mom kind of had a few really kind of good misses. And then the candle thing, she would always, and maybe this was just her way of trying to butch me up, her fag of a son, but she would always get me the very, very masculine, like the candles that smell like a cologne, like I don't want to say like a musk kind of a smell, but like a, like they have like those, the wood, it smells like a, like a, I can't even think of it, but you just open it and you go, oh wow, that's very like cologne-ish or aftershave-ish, like that's what and I was like, yeah, Mom, my house is like the coconut ones, the strawberry ones, the raspberry, the pina colada ones, like that's the kind of smell of our house, just so you know. These manly, and even when she, see, now I'm on a roll now, she gives us our stockings every year, still to this day, by the way, this wasn't just 20 years ago, but it's always the same, again, very like manly smelling shower gel. And I guess, yeah, you know what? That's not true. My husband will use them, but I'm the bubble bath person. I'm the coconut body lotion. I'm the, and it's just, yeah, it's like every fucking year. It's the not Adidas. Is it Axe is the one, I guess, right? Where you've got this Axe body wash for the shower, and I'm like, that's not, I don't use it, I don't, so in the closet by my bathroom, I'm sure I've got about 4 bottles of that from the past however many years, because I'm just like, whatever. I mean, my house is, I got a very fruity house. I just want to point that out to everybody. So if you are going to be sending me a gift or something, make it fruity. I'll be back on the Scribble right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. SpeakFreeWithJB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
That's it. We're out of time. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye for now, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some